The imminent rollout of the fourth NHS-approved weight loss drug has been seen as a lifeline to overweight Brits and the saviour by some for the NHS.
But with access still restricted to patients, others worry that this new generation of drugs are fueling a quick-fix weight loss addiction.
Right, so Dr. Sara's here with everything we need to know. So let's start at the beginning. There seems to be, as you can understand, sudden obsession with weight loss drugs.
Yeah, and it's not surprising because the latest figures in England are showing that 64% of adults in the UK or in England, 18 and over, are estimated to be overweight or obese. And that's a number that's rising. It was 61% in 2015. And also worrying is the children's statistics. So 21.3% of 4 to 5-year-olds were found to be obese or overweight as well. And so, yes, we have a crisis here, and it's affecting the NHS as well. Unfortunately, 1 million hospital admissions in 2019 to 2020 were linked to obesity. And in terms of cost, it's estimated to cost over £6 billion for the NHS, and that's estimated to go up, forecasted to go up to 9.7 billion by 2050.
Because carrying that extra weight really does affect us health-wise.
Of course. So it can increase your risk of type 2 diabetes. It can increase of cardiovascular disease, things like heart attacks and strokes. And there are also cancers that are linked to obesity: breast cancers, colon cancer, so bowel cancer.
Yeah.
Big concerns for the NHS as well. New government's come in. There's a big consultation going as how they can make the NHS fit for purpose. In many ways, it's struggling as it is. Unquestionably, as you've pointed out with those statistics, the amount of money it's costing to look after people who are overweight is into the billions, up to 9.7 by 2050, which is extraordinary. So that statistic about the fact that these weight loss drugs could save the NHS that's not an overstatement, is it?
No, I don't think so. I think there are two thought processes going on with these drugs. There's the group that are quite positive about it. So I think Dr. Sam Roberts, he's the chief executive of NICE, gave quite a measured answer about it. He said this new generation of weight loss medications has the potential to achieve important health and well-being benefits for the people living with obesity. And I agree. I think it can do. I think the issue comes about where it's abused and people are worried about addiction. So there's the UK Addiction Treatment Group who have stated, Les Fernandez, who's the lead therapist there, has stated that seeing the weight fall off can in itself produce a rush of dopamine to the brain, which encourages repeat behaviour. And so there are concerns there about whether it's going to be abused and addicted.
Particularly if people don't have a healthy attitude towards food anyway. Let's start with Ozempic, because this is like the be-all and end-all at the moment.
Well, what I find interesting about Ozempic is in England, in the UK, it's actually not a weight loss drug.
Right.
It's a drug for type 2 diabetes. But we've heard so much about it because in the US, they do use it for weight loss, and there have been lots of celebrities that have said that they're using it. So Amy Schumer, Elon Musk.
Rebel Wilson.
Yes, exactly. Rebel Wilson. So there are a whole load of celebrities out there, and people obviously see these celebrities on TV and think, wow, that's a huge transformation. Now, it works by helping to regulate your appetite and reduce cravings and hunger. But in the UK, as I said, it's only supposed to be used for type 2 diabetes, and that's in order to try and protect the resources for the type 2 diabetics.
Yeah, I see.
But unfortunately, there have been lots of cases where you can buy them online. And I know The Guardian last year did kind of an expose on it and showed how easy it is to buy it just by lying about your weight online.
There's a new one, though, isn't there? Expected to be approved, which is the fourth one. Tirzepatide, have I got that right?
Yeah, so we've got 3 out that are currently available and 1 due to be available. So,
on the NHS?
On the NHS, exactly. Yeah. So number 1, we've got Orlistat, which is a bit of like the original, the OG, because that was brought out back in 2010. Right. And it's an oral capsule, and it works by limiting the amount of fat that's absorbed. It's supposed to be a third of the fat that gets absorbed by your body. And it's for people who have already tried lifestyle changes, diet, exercise, and if they have a BMI of over 28 and any other weight-related conditions, or if they have a BMI of 30+, then it could be for them. Now, you can get it from your GP, or you can get a slightly lower dose from your pharmacist. It's got some potential side effects because of the way it doesn't allow you to absorb the fat. That fat can sometimes come out as, you know, through your stool motions, and so it can become greasier and a bit more explosive and things like that. So it's important to speak about those things with your healthcare professional.
Right.
So that's the first one?
That's the first one. Then we've got liraglutide or Saxenda. That's a daily injection, and that works in a similar way to Ozempic by reducing hunger and cravings. And you can prescribe it if you've got a BMI of over 30 or 35, pardon me, or 32.5 if you're one of an ethnic minority. So that's Asian, Chinese, Middle Eastern, Black African or African Caribbean. And if you have high blood sugar, so not type 2 diabetic yet, but what we call pre-diabetes, and if you have any condition that can increase your risk of any cardiovascular disease, things like high blood pressure or high cholesterol.
Right.
Then we've got semaglutide, which is known as Wegovy, and that's the same stuff that's actually in Ozempic.
Okay.
But this one has been approved for weight loss. And again, you're allowed that if your BMI over 35 or 32.5 for the ethnic minorities and have any other health-related issue. And you need a referral from your GP to a weight specialist clinic to be able to get that on the NHS.
Right.
That is, I mean, you, in terms of sort of getting the drugs from your GP, are you expected to have tried things? You mentioned with the first one, you've got to have tried sort of weight, lifestyle changing things. What's the expectation if you're going to get the Wegovy or you're going to get the other one?
Well, we know from the studies that actually, if you start these, great, you'll have there's often weight loss, but then when you come back off them, some of that weight goes back on again. And so that's why it's important that whilst you're taking these, you are also doing all of the underlying weight management things like exercise, diet, lifestyle, to try and prevent that.
What about if you can't get it on the NHS? Can you pay for these drugs? And what do we need to look out for? Because that's one of the things when we've had guests on the show, it's like they haven't been given the right thing or it's a false kind of medication.
Yeah, you can pay for these privately, but it's important that those that you're getting it from are still following the national guidelines and the MHRA guidelines. Yeah. And I think, you know, that it's a warning that these aren't cheap. You know, they're not quick fixes. So a lot of people end up spending a lot of money on these things, and it can be quite inhibitory. So liraglutide, which is Saxenda, can come up to anywhere between £40 and £400 online a month. Semaglutide Wegovy is £175, 80 a month. So these are expensive things, and you're right, you need to be making sure that you're getting them from reputable sources and you're being followed up by that person, and, you know, you're not just buying it on the black market.
How worried are you, Sara, that there are people that are taking these drugs that just don't need them, and they're taking them because actually they want the vanity perspective rather than it's what they need for their health?
I think it's worrying that there are people out there that are taking it when they don't need it, because these do have potential side effects and risks. So things like kidney damage, pancreatitis, there's even some research going into thyroid cancer, gallbladder issues. So we know that these are all risks that may be worth taking if you are obese and overweight and you are at risk of getting other health conditions.
The lesser of two evils,
exactly. But if you are of a normal, healthy weight, then putting yourself at risk is a worry.
And is there any moment where you should stop taking them? Like, are there any symptoms where you're like, actually just immediately stop it?
Well, what I would say is anyone that's experiencing any symptoms should really be discussing them with their doctor anyway. Yeah. Some are accepted, you know, a bit of nausea, and, you know, maybe diarrhoea. These are things that can occur. But I would say anything that persists and becomes inhibitory, or if you're becoming particularly unwell, you do need to speak to your doctor about it. These are things that can become really dangerous if you're not taking it carefully.
And tirzepatide, is that bringing something new that the others haven't done, or is it just another option?
It's another option. It's much the same as the Ozempics and the Wegovys. They work in the same way. It's going to be available to people who have a BMI of 40 and above and 2 health-related issues from their weight, or if they have above 40 BMI and 1 other issue. It's on trials has shown that the patients can lose 20.9% of their body weight in 36 weeks.
20.9%.
Wow.
That's significant.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
that's significant not just for them, but that's significant for the NHS as well.
It's a huge life change, both for, on a wider aspect for the NHS, for costs, but also on a personal.
So knowing everything that you know, knowing what's available, what are your kind of takeaway thoughts?
Look, I think it's a really exciting potential to tackle obesity, but I also think that we have to be careful about the financial and health dependencies that we are creating with it. In terms of people getting it, from other sources, and I think just it needs to be part of a broader kind of holistic strategy, not just a silver bullet by itself.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
you for joining us. There's so much to kind of digest with it.
I know. There's so much I want to say about it, but
yeah.
Okay, 7 minutes, isn't it?
It was super helpful. Thank you.
Oh, hello. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.